Hey y'all, what's up, gente? Welcome back to another episode of the MILPA show. Today we have Desiree, Rosas, and Alexis Magdaleno. And we were going to be talking about Prop 47. You know what that is, you know how it's impacting our people. But we'll get that in. We'll get into that, shortly. But as customary, siempre, we just want to start in with a quick check-in question. Kind of little icebreaker. Start the conversation off. So today, if you listen to music during work, right? What type of music do you listen to? And I'll pass it on to whoever wants to go ahead and kick off this check-in.
I can go ahead and start. So yes, hello everybody. Thank you for having me once again. So for myself, I don't usually listen to music when I'm working because I feel like I need to concentrate and it's a little bit distracting sometimes, but I do occasionally. And when I do, it's like Jimi Hendrix or like Nirvana or something chill like that, and it's really low in the background because it's mellow, so I think that's me right there, some Jimmy or some Nirvana.
The first thing that comes to your head when you say Jimi Hendrix is like heavy metal, heavy rock, something like I'm just like cool.
Yeah. For me, what up, everybody? For me, I'm a horrible multitasker. I cannot listen to two things at the same time or focus on two things at the same time. So I usually never put music on. But when I do, the rare occasion that I do, usually music without any words, just put beats and just let it flow. Let it mellow out the mood and stuff. But that's usually what I listen to.
The instrumentals, for sure. Alexis starts singing or rapping to the music. Yeah. Yeah, no, for me, I think reggae for me works because it's like it just puts me in that mode, and I can like throw on the earbuds or the earphones, right? Zapping and like type and stuff, and or do whatever. So that would be anything else would be a little too distracting, So, but yeah, I like reggae. It's been one of those staples for me growing up and stuff. But yeah, gracias, y'all. So let's jump right into it. What is Prop 47?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Prop 47 was passed in 2014 by the voters of California, the people of California, and they decided that it was better to instead of having felonies for people that were struggling with drug addiction and with poverty, that were being incarcerated and convicted for drug possession, petty thefts, receiving stolen property. Instead of sending them to prison for a year or more, they thought it would be best to make it into a misdemeanor and use that money that was being saved to incarcerate people for years, for community services like mental health, drug treatment, substance abuse, all those things that we ask for in our community. A lot of times, job placement, those are things that we need, but we don't get because oftentimes we spend that money on incarceration before we get to see some of those things. And so MILPA, back when it first started, it was getting people to register to vote, but also getting people to vote in favor, or just to let them know that this was a thing on our personal time, right? A lot of our staff were doing that on our personal time, and just getting people to go out there. Hey, this is important. Monterey County actually passed one of the highest rates of yes votes for Prop 47. So it was a really big legislation that kind of turned the waves from when we were resorting to incarcerating our way out of everything from the 90s and that era. So that's how I see it. I don't know, Desiree, if you had a different perspective on it.
No, I think that pretty much hits the nail on the head. I think a lot of the times dealing with like people who have criminal records, it's hard. You're expected to be able to reintegrate into this, into society, yet you're faced with a lot of, I'd say like barriers. So it's like, oh yes, I want to get a job. I want to be, like a good member of society, do what like my probation officer is saying, or just in general, do better in life. So you're trying to get a job, right? And you go and apply and they're like, oh no, unfortunately, we cannot hire you because you have this criminal record and so on and so forth, right? Or even when it comes to like housing, even that's an issue as well. They check your background for housing. So it's like you're trying to do good, you're trying to, get a house, you're trying to get a job, but you're met with all these like barriers, right? So I think definitely, I mean, being able to have that impact through Prop 47, that's awesome to be able to work with this demographic of folks and be able to help them out.
Yeah, most definitely, right? It's like just even thinking about like the real hardship, right? Of being involved or being forced into the system is actually living out here in this country with the record, right? It's a personal experience. It's like, yeah, I can attest to the difficulties, right? Of trying to find a job, trying to do the right thing, finding barrier upon barrier. Next thing you know, you get discouraged and you get the case of the efforts, and it's like, we continue to perpetuate that cycle of recidivism, right? Even just because of the lack of opportunities and all these emotions that come out, stress, depression, lo que sea, whatever it is. Alexis, you mentioned something around the savings, right? So if I got this correct, so the savings that are that the state or the counties having, right, from diverting people, right, from incarceration and stuff. So that money is supposed to be allotted to community services, correct? Okay, so do you believe, or either or, do you guys believe that that's happening in Monterey County?
Well, yeah, just to add a little bit more to it, that's actually how me and Desiree got our employment. That's here by the state. The state acknowledged that they were saving money because they weren't sending people to prison anymore for these crimes, and they used that money. Monterey County applied, MILPA being one of the benefactors of it, and that's how we got a lot of different resources in our community, specifically South Monterey County, which is where me and Desiree grew up. This is like an area where there's very little resources, there's very little service providers that stay there. And so it's always been difficult because we've always had to take that long commute to Salinas to receive any type of assistance if we were lucky enough to get that. And so this money that was saved was passed on to our community, and along with that came more mental health services in South Monterey County, substance abuse treatment center in King City, which is the way deep at the bottom of our county, which is historically the furthest away from our resources. And so and along with a whole bunch of other services, including ours. But here locally, I think our county still has a lot more that they can do. I think there's still a lot of savings, a lot of new laws that have been put in place, not just Prop 47, but AB 1950 and a whole bunch of other laws that made it so that there should be less people incarcerated, and there should be more money being saved by our county sheriffs. But it seems like we're still struggling. We're still struggling to get the sheriff to pass those savings on to the rest of the community. But as far as MILPA and the community advocating for those savings to get kicked down, we're doing a hell of a job of making sure that our entire county budget doesn't go to law enforcement, which historically has always been what's happened, is that we've resorted to law enforcement to resolve our problems in our communities, and that's not exactly what we need. And so I think we've done a hell of a job. There's still more work to do. We're like in the middle of our advocacy every year. So there's still a lot more work that needs to be done, but there's definitely been a lot more money being invested into community than there was before.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, and I think just I want to say for the record, right, folks that are watching this, you know, the Sheriff's Association, the Police Association, Probation, right, all those unions, DA, you know, all that, they were against this. They didn't vote for Prop 47. They actually like really tried to use their leverage and their power, right, to make sure that it didn't pass. But you know, the people of California spoke and they seen the reasoning behind it, right? So that's cool. You know, that's what's up. You know, Des, you know, how does having a record impact people? Understanding, you know, it's like I know you shared, you know, in your when we highlighted your story, you had mentioned you were system impact, you know, and this, you know, and I direct this question towards you because um, I want to, I like your story, right? And you have it's a similar one to a lot of folks that are not able to share that story, not highlight that story, and like you're like a beacon for these folks. And I was like, oh, you know, I know that story. That's me. You know, so maybe you know for the viewers, you know that are not system impacted or been formerly incarcerated, right? Maybe you can share that with us.
Of course, yes. Thanks, Bernie. Yeah, so definitely appreciate that. But I'm all, oh, that's a lot of pressure. I don't want to be a beacon for everybody. No. But yes, definitely. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. So I mean, honestly, it's personal for me. I am that person. So every time I meet with a client, I am there with them. I'm in their shoes. I know exactly how they feel. I know the struggles that they are facing or could face and have not faced yet. Um, I mean, it could be rough. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, it's personal. So when I see our folks trying to do well for themselves, well for their families, and facing these barriers, right? Um, it's a little rough, but like you had mentioned, there's this light, which is the Prop 47, which is very much appreciated by, I'd say, a lot of our clients, right? I speak with most of them, and I can say for the most part, I can't say any names, but a lot of folks have said, you know, like, hey, like this is something different. This is something new. I didn't even know that existed. Like, thank you guys so much for being these folks for us, right? To be able to make it a little bit easier to get this relief, because a lot of the times, like I had mentioned before, you're having trouble with finding employment, you're having trouble with finding housing. In order for you to get some relief, they're telling you, do this, do that, fill out this form, you know, freaking some weird name and you know, letters, numbers, all this confusing stuff. It's very confusing. Like, wait, what? So I got the wrong form. Are you sure? Like, do I need to do this? Where do I turn it in at? So I'd say for myself, I mean, because I tried as well, being a system impacted, formerly incarcerated person, I've tried to get some relief. I'm like, you know what? I'm a changed person. I was, you know, very young when I made these mistakes, and I feel like I've definitely paid for that a few times over already. So yes, I just think, yes, it's rough and confusing, and to have folks like myself and Alexis to kind of just be that middleman that, like, you know what, we'll fill out these forms, we'll help you fill out these forms if you don't know how to. We'll ask all the right questions, we'll connect you with the right folks. If we can't help you, we'll find somebody who can help you with whatever it is that you're dealing with. Like Alexis had mentioned in the beginning, we do work with other partners who are providing other types of services for these specific types of folks, right? So yes, I mean, it's hard, it's confusing, but we have this amazing service now that we can provide to our community, and we hope that as many people as possible can see this, see our ad, and just, you know, reach out and get the help that you need so you can do whatever it is that you have dreams or you know, aspirations of doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. But so yeah, I mean, living with the record, right? Is it's one of those things that people normalize, and that's not right. It's like it's and there's so many folks um, that struggle with it, that are impacted by it, that are held down, are held down by that. Um, and doing this work, you said, you have other partners, that you work with, and I believe the public defender is probably part of this, right? So maybe explaining a little bit about the relationship between with the public defender, and how does that work? It's like, is it like smooth, right? Smooth sailing, como dicen, or yeah.
Well, it's very smooth right now, because of this grant, right? Because of this funding that we received. Um, we're able to have that relationship where we can work together, and we refer them clients. We get all of our clients prepared and have all the things that they need so that they can, be ready for the public defender. The public defender could submit them to the courts and all of that. But before this grant, it wasn't like that. Milpa was doing this, because they cared about their community before there was funding to do this, and we just wanted to help people. We wanted to let people know, like, hey, you can get your record, reclassified or dismissed. Like, we'll submit it to the public defender, and we would submit so many people. This was before I was even a staff at Milpa. Um, we would submit so many people to the public defender, but the public defender didn't have, this wasn't their priority, um, to reclassify or to get people's record dismissed. It wasn't like that's something that they spend a lot of time doing. And so what ended up happening is they had boxes and boxes of clients that we referred to them, or that they referred to them, they submitted themselves, that weren't getting reclassified. People were like, we know there's a new law, we know we qualify, like, how can, we submitted to the public defender and nothing's being done. And so a lot of folks, had that mistrust, uh historically, right, with the public defender. So we're kind of like that middleman, like, hey, we're cool people. We're not trying to profit or make money off of you, or just leave you hanging either. We're going to walk you through the process. And so now we get to do that. We go to work collaboratively when we have clients that we have a difficult time, because sometimes cases are complicated. Cases are old, and just they're difficult. Sometimes they're a little bit outside of mine and Desiree's expertise. As we refer them to say, like, hey, can you help this client out, because we just don't know what to do. And so it's just been a lot smoother, a lot better. They've the public defender has invested more money into their post conviction relief team. And so what that means is they have an actual staff that just focuses on helping people, getting some type of reclassification, dismissal, expungement, whatever that is. Just that's their entire focus. Whereas before it was like an extra task for them. And you already know, when it's the public defender, like, they have cases upon cases upon cases, and get called into courts and all that stuff. And so it was difficult. It was a difficult start, but now it's a lot smoother.
Yeah, it must be hard to be a public defender, right? Because it's like, that's true. There's like a stigma with the, around the public defender, and those that are going through the system. Because I've been there, también, and it's like, man, they're not doing their job, but it's like, thinking about it, it's like, man, imagínate, like, imagine they're dealing with a lot of different cases, uh, time consuming, all that stuff, right? So just shout out to the public defender for doing that, for having that, building that, being open to build that relationship with MILPA, with you guys, with doing Prop 47 work, right? And I think we already touched on this a little bit, right? Talking about the folks, that are impacted by the by having a record, right? But also understanding, like, some of these folks, they've been impacted by a system that is rooted in racism, right? Rooted in punishment and retribution. in your experience, right, up to this date, you know, what's it like, you know, helping these folks, you know, working with them, working for them, you know, to fill out this this opportunity, right? This the form. Um, yeah. So like, you know, what type of conversations do you do y'all have? You know, in regards to this, right? Like, you know, what's your experience around that?
I can go ahead and touch on this one a little bit. So, I mean, I haven't been doing this long. I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I mean, I can say I've learned a lot and really, really empathize with a lot of folks' stories. Um, it's not always easy. We're dealing with you know, a demographic of folks that could potentially have, you know, mental health issues, substance use issues, um, other types of, you know, poverty, whatever it is that they're going through, right? And trying to help them navigate, you know, through whether it's this system or, you know, services or what have you, right? Um, so it's not always easy, but then you do come across some folks that are very grateful. I'd say that's probably a lot of folks that are just like super grateful that you're even giving them the time of day, because I'm sure they're not really treated humanely for the most part for those reasons. Um, so yes, you do come across some folks that, you know, it's a little bit difficult, but also it's, for me, speaking for myself, very rewarding, being able to speak with these folks, get their stories. I've, you know, talked with folks on the phone for like a very long time, just like listening to their story, or, you know, just treating them like human beings, which it's sad to say, but you know, they're really not treated that way. So it's also healing for me too, because I am them. I am that person. I put myself in their shoes. So it's very healing for me too to be able to do this for folks. Even if I can't do it for myself, I'm very grateful and glad that I could do it for other folks. And that's just, you know, a little bit from me. Alexis, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely echo Desiree's thoughts. You know, for me, it is very rewarding. You know, to when you can actually get somebody to go through the whole entire process and they can get their life back on track to, you know, where they wanted it to be, but also where it should have been. You know, if it wasn't for these systems that resorted to incarceration and punishment for the things that they were struggling with, right? Um, but I think one thing that I struggle with our clients is not so much them, it's more the system. um because, you know, for you to qualify for some of these things like a dismissal, for example, you have to have paid off your restitution. And that's always the biggest barrier for a lot of our clients is if you want to move forward, leave this conviction behind you, um you have to have employment, you have to have access to money. And so who does that exclude? That excludes everybody who is, you know, just having a really difficult time. When you have a felony or a misdemeanor, you can't move forward, you can't find quality employment, or it's a lot more difficult to find quality employment. It's a lot more difficult to find a stable quality housing, which for our clients is critical, right? And so how can you afford to pay off restitution when these other barriers are there, existing, right? You know, not being able to find quality employment is and there's no way around it. And there's always something new for the system to charge you for, whether it be probation fees, court fees, you know, owing all these things. And we've ran across clients that have owed $14,000, $12,000, and we're like, you know, what can we tell them? Can we say like, oh yeah, just, you know, just pay it off? Like, simple, right? It's not. It's messed up. But there has to be something that needs to be done around restitution, because that's always going to be the biggest barrier for folks. Otherwise, this is a privilege, and this is a luxury that certain folks can only qualify for. And if you're lucky, I mean, if you can make it by with whatever convictions you got and pay off all that restitution, good for you. But man, there's so many other people that are doing good, that want to do good, that are being left behind. And so that's always been my struggle, is like, I really can't, what can I say? Like, the opportunity is there, but it's just the system doesn't want to budge. No matter how good you're doing in your life, it's always going to be that barrier. Like, are you going to pay us back? Otherwise, like, you're just going to have to keep struggling, and it sucks. There's no one we can talk to about it, but it's also very rewarding. Like I said, we've had a lot of clients who are just extremely grateful for this service, like, trying to navigate it on their own, trying to um understand these legal jargon that sometimes is thrown around, and it's like really difficult to navigate. And so just having that person to reach out and say, hey, this resource is available, but it's also free. Because that's one of the barriers that a lot of our clients face too, is they go back to their private attorney and they say, hey, can you help me clear their record? Oh yeah, it'll be like $2,000. Oh damn, never mind. I'll just keep it, because that's what it is. People take advantage, but it's really not a difficult process. It's just, people, certain attorneys make it really difficult for you to want to do it.
Yeah, for sure, right? It's like the penal system economy, right? It's still, again, it's rooted in racism, man. It's like, continue to keep us down. Even there's opportunities, like I said, I was just thinking about it. It's like, yeah, you have this opportunity to get it dismissed, but you got to have all these criteria met. But it's like, well, in order to have this, I need to not have this. So it's like, right? It's like, yeah, the system, again, it's a very intelligent thing, eh? It evolves. It's like AI almost, It's like yeah. If there's like an anti-vaccine to it, that virus is gonna, like, create antibodies for the anti-vaccine, right? So yeah, gracias for sharing that, and just thinking about, like, the work that y'all been doing for as long as you've been doing it, and y'all shared también that it's amazing people that come through, right? And has there been any stories, like, and just to, I don't want to say successful stories, right? Because I think all these folks that are trying, that come through, it's already a success, right? That they're trying to reach out and trying to do something about it, right? But is there like an actual instances where there are dismissals, where people, actually they've met all the criteria, and 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 then the court stamps it, boom, your record has been dismissed. Maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot. Like I said, I've been at it for about 4 years now, in this process. So, to think back, man, there's just been so many. And I can't really point to one particular story, right? Because people, people have their lives. Sometimes they don't come back and tell us, all the good things that they're doing. They're just like, I just want to live my life. But I'll highlight some of the more memorable ones. I've helped a dad and her daughter both get their record dismissed, which was like, they came in at the same time, and it was like a bonding moment. They were also reconnecting and trying to both, do better. And so that was a really beautiful moment. There was also people who are applying for DACA, people who are applying for their citizenship, that like, this is my biggest barrier. This is the thing that's holding me back, or this is the reason why I'm afraid to apply. um I've also seen, people who just got caught up in a bad mix, like, and got dealt a dirty hand by law enforcement, that just like, hey, we're gonna push these charges on you. It doesn't matter whether it was you or not. You were just wrong place, wrong time, or whatever it was. But it's gonna be you. You're gonna have to deal with this on your own now. And it just really threw their whole life around. You know, they were just like doing good, and then I don't know, where just they threw a freaking a wrench in their life, and they just twisted everything around. They lost employment, they lost upward mobility, they lost housing, and just had to start over, you know. And thankfully, thanks to a new law that kicked in, like they finished probation early. They were supposed to finish probation 3 years, and instead they only did 2 years. And that when they came in, it was that 2 year mark. And so we're like, well, you know, you actually qualify like as of last month, so like, let's get us the paperwork. You've paid off your restitution, you know, like. And this individual shared, like, this is the only thing that's stopping my company, the place that I work for, to give me full-time employment and to give me you know, a higher paying position. And so it's moments like that that I'm just like, man, like, you know, what a blessing. I've also helped a couple of my friends you know, get their record dismissed or reduced, and it's just like, hey, it's cool, bro, like, you know, stuff happens, you know, like, you know, all we can do is try to help each other out. And if we could do it for our bros, our family también. I've helped family you know, like, hey, you know, this, I got this a while ago, like, you know, I'm trying to get it off. And it's just been really cool, you know, to be like, to be that person, you know, like, hey, you know, hit up so and so, they'll help you out. Like, they know what they're doing. And sometimes we get some cases that are just way too much, and I'm like, well, you can go here because I just don't know. But there's been a lot of successful stories. I Yeah, Desiree, you probably have a couple too también.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the helping of the friends and family. I feel like those ones are a little bit better because you can actually, like how Alexis had mentioned, a lot of the times our folks, they just go on with their lives. They don't want to be like, yo, like, look what I'm doing now, which would be great. But when you're helping out your friends and family, you're actually able to see like the success in front of your eyes, like, oh my gosh, because of what I did, or because of what this service is or provided for my family member, for my friend, now they're able to get the job that they wanted, or get the house that they wanted, or whatever it is that their goal was at the end of the whole, you know, process, right? So I think, yes, I'm gonna have to agree with Alexis. Being able to see that is just it's awesome.
Yeah, it's fulfilling work for sure. You know, you know, Alexis, you mentioned, I've heard a couple of times already. You know, this AB 1950, right? Um, Maybe, you know, just can you explain a little bit of that? Like, what is that? You know, because that's actually, you know, it goes hand in hand with Prop 47. You know, you know, it's like if eliminating uh, probation to, you know, or decreasing probation. So maybe you can, Alexis or Des, whoever, maybe you can explain a little bit of that 1950.
All right. Yeah, no, for sure. This is a new law passed by the state of California, the legislators. Um, and basically what it did is it reduced probation time from 3 years to 1 year for a misdemeanor and 2 years for felonies, which before it was, you know, if you got a cop for a misdemeanor, it was 3 years. And this was a really problematic one because it's expensive to keep people on probation, right? Which in turn, that means we have to pay for probation. We have to pay the state for, or the county for probation, but also because so much can happen in those 3 years. Like, imagine if you got caught up for something so minor, like, you know, a drug possession, and you got clean and sober, and then 3 years later, or 2.5 years later, and you get busted for something dumb. Like, and then to have that burden of having probation on your back, um it really sets people up for failure, especially if they want to incarcerate you. Something that we see a lot is probation being very predatory with our people, and like really just trying to get them for whatever reason, whether it be their terms or just minor violations, whether it be just they were out late, or they were with other people who were on probation, or they had wrong clothes, or just little stuff that, or just not even having a job, like stuff like that just sets people up for failure. And so if we could limit that opportunity for them to give us a violation, to give folks a violation, that then, man, what a blessing. And so it's that for me, that's the legislation that I like. Hopefully, one day it'll be a lot shorter. Maybe I don't know. Do people really need to be on probation for 2 years? Probably not. I don't know, but who the hell am I to say? But people people strive when you give them opportunities. And so when you set them up in that type of situation where you're under constant surveillance, like there's only so much you can do before you crack and just not care, right?
Yeah. Um, you said something interesting, it's like people really need to be on probation, right? I mean, isn't being locked up enough already? It's like when we get locked up and yes, like we broke the white man law, right? The penal system, we made an infraction, and so we're gonna deal with that. But it's like I don't think people these I know the system understands what they're doing. They're dehumanizing and desensitizing folks. Because we go into a box where it's like there's nothing there that's gonna help you with living life when you get out. It's a whole different world when you come out, and through personal experience, like yeah, of course, it's like what just to have another person tell it's the same thing. It's like you're told when to eat, when to sleep, when you can go to the rec yard if there's any rec yard or whatever, and it's the same thing out here. Sometimes we get put on a monitor or probation, depending on the mood of the probation officer or his or hers um, political views, right? That's the way we're gonna get treated. So thank you for that, for sharing that right there. Yeah, we don't need probation, it's like the punishment there is enough. Let us live, let us try to do it, try to make it. Damn, so but yeah, you know, doing this work, right? The work that y'all doing, and gracias for sharing this. That it must be very very gratifying to be able to help people. It's like and all that stuff. So just thinking about it, like in your own personal lives, how has this work impacted your life?
I can go ahead and share a little bit about that. Just because I've kind of already mentioned it within our conversation. So I feel like for myself, it's really healing. Like I had mentioned previously, I am these folks, and to be able to, even if I can't do it for myself, do it for other folks, I mean, that makes my day. And knowing, man, like I could potentially help this person get more opportunities in life. Like it's super gratifying. I mean, I don't do it for that, but it's a plus. It's definitely a plus to be able to say, hey, I could have potentially really changed this person's life. And yeah, I feel like I go to sleep good at night knowing that what I'm doing is helping folks. Yeah.
Hell yeah. And Desiree came in at a time where we were in transition. We needed somebody new, and it just Desiree, right place, right time. It just like, I think I heard you talking about it in the previous podcast. Just like, it just kind of all you manifested it. It just kind of came true, and that opportunity rose up because for this grant, like it really is like a success for South Monterey County. Like I mentioned, like we don't have a lot of stuff down here, a lot of resources that stay or that get housed down here. And so um when this opportunity came about to do Prop 47, for me, it was like, well, the way they pitched it to me, the way Milpa pitched it to me was like, you get to work in South County. Like there's going to be opportunity for you to work in the community that you grew up in. And I was like, hell yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Cause like, geez, I could have worked anywhere. I could have worked in the Bay. I could have worked in LA, and who knows, who knows where this world would have taken me. But that opportunity to come and stay here was there, and I took full advantage of it. So it was definitely a major blessing. And I think the same thing for Desiree. Like that's something that was for me, as like, when we were doing the recruiting process, like we want somebody that's from down there. We want somebody that understands what it, that feeling of like, damn, I have to go all the way to Salinas to go find those services, to go find to go get those questions answered. And so just having that opportunity to provide the service in South County, in King City, in Gonzales, and wherever we find ourselves. And now obviously we're doing it virtually. But that's been a huge impact for me, but also just, the constant learning. There's always new laws, there's always new legislation that's coming out that's helping people out. And it's always like, man, like what can I do? How can I meet people where they're at? And before this, we used to go a lot to the Methodist church, Chinatown, to different parts where folks were struggling with substance abuse and poverty, and we just like try to meet people where they're at, because we know that our systems weren't doing that. Nobody was out there saying like, hey, you qualify. Like, nobody wasn't inviting folks in. And so we did our best just to meet people halfway, and provide that service.
Yeah, gracias for sharing again. And again, for me, when I think about it and listening right now, it's like, well, of course, the probation officer's not gonna want to do this, or the DA, or the the carceral system, because eventually it's like, no, we need people in probation because we know they're gonna come back, basically, or we're gonna do what we can to ensure that there's a cycle of recidivism, because that's going to continue the flow of money, right? That we are like the product, and so yeah, it's a twisted ass system, and but I'm grateful for y'all that are engaging in this work, helping folks, step by step. It's that's all we can do, it's just how can we use this tool, or this opportunity, right, to brighten other folks' this life, like at least give them the opportunity or the chance to do it, even if they don't qualify or whatever. It's like at least they're trying, right? They're taking that process. Yeah, this is so cool. I think I was affected by Prop 47, and I just had I kind of did a lot of reading and stuff, being locked up. So I kind of like knew how to engage, So I had my public defender, I made sure that I had a good relationship, with her. And as soon as it happened, I wrote the letter, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, all that. But again, it's like, we got to be on top of it because the system ain't going to tell us, So I appreciate y'all's work. So yeah, gracias for this conversation. I know we're coming to an end. So, just also as customary, we always, trying to send a message out to the community, to the folks watching this, a call to action. So either of you, if y'all have a call to action for the folks, this is the time.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for giving us the platform to have this conversation. Yeah, but for us, for myself, I think the call to action would be just, if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. We have our Instagram, we have our Facebook at MILPA Collective. If you have any more, those questions, we have a lot of information there. But also, you could call us. We have our Prop 47 phone number. It's going to be 296-2505. And you can go ahead and hit us up if you have any questions or if you're interested in some of these services, or if any of the things that you've heard within this conversation really, stuck with you. You're like, hey, like I could really use that, right? So yeah, feel free to give us a call. And like I said, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and if you are on there, feel free to share out that information with folks that you feel might need that as well. And I don't know if you had anything to add, Alexis, but yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely hit us up. Like I said, like we said, it's a free service, and if you know somebody that you think might qualify, we're not gonna charge nobody. It's just simple, like, hey, this is you might get advice on how to proceed, but also just being mindful, like that there's a lot of how do you say it, propaganda out there around some of these new laws that say that that we're too soft on crime and stuff like that. But the benefit of doing these new legislations is that we get to reinvest that money into things that people actually need. And so don't let the people that say, like, oh, these new crimes are gonna make more crime, or these new laws are gonna make more crimes, and they just let criminals out and stuff like that. No, quite the contrary. Like it's actually beneficial to our community to keep folks in their community.
Well, there you have it, folks. You heard it here at the MILPA show, right? Prop 47, free services. Gracias again, Desiree and Alexis, for taking the time and sharing with us, and sharing with the folks. Pero con eso, just to all the folks watching, hey, follow us, get involved, communicate with us, and we're willing and able to try to navigate that for you también, Pero con eso, all right, y'all, y'all have a good one. Take care, be safe, and stay healthy, and love love everybody, right? Con todo eso, con eso, ahí nos vamos. Peace.